talk about carnivore, shall we? I just created this simple guide for you to start the carnivore diet and feel the best you've ever felt in your life, including when you were in your 20s. That's right. Plants, which you are going to avoid, are the ones that cause frustration, sadness, irritation, all these things that we think is just, it's just emotions, it's situations in life. No. One thing is, a situation happens, you might be frustrated for a couple of minutes on carnivore, but afterwards, it's just of the past. You just laugh. People comment not so great things on your videos and you just laugh, you just enjoy because it's creative and it's fun and it's humanity. But if you are just obsessing over this little thing somebody told you, or you're just highly frustrated, highly unsatisfied because your life isn't perfect, that is for sure because you're doing a highly vegetarian diet. High carbs, carbs are plants, plants are vegetarian, you're too much vegetarian. You need to go carnivore if you want to feel the best you've ever felt in your life. Number one, and this is thanks to Dr. Anthony Chaffee, which basically set this up. I'm just putting out in a diagram. You eat fatty meat. This is the base of the pyramid on carnivore. How much? Until you're satisfied. Don't just fill yourself because, let's eat more and more because carbs and, because calories and macros and protein, blah, 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 blah. No. Be instinctive about it. Even when it comes to fat, how much fat? Typically, a lion will consume anywhere from 15 to 30% fat by volume. So to be in fat burning mode, meaning ketosis, keto, you should consume at least 10% and you can go up to 40%. But don't think about these numbers. Just realize when you cook, at least 10% of what you see ahead of you should be fat. But if you have more, the better, and just eat as much as you feel like on that specific day. Some days you might eat a lot of fat, other days you might eat very little. Don't worry, just be instinctive about it. What about chicken and pork? Sure, you can eat those, but for example, poultry is typically very lean, so you might have to add true butter, not some plant-based seed oils butter. True butter, animal butter. What about it? But I don't want to eat a lot of butter. People are telling me, all my cousins and my uncles are telling me, you're eating too much butter. Don't worry about it. You might get too much sodium from the butter, but you won't get too much fat because it will go just back the back door. Your body will only absorb as much because your body will only absorb fat when it produces bile, and it will only produce bile as much as it feels like. Unless you're taking a bile supplement, you will not absorb too much. You will just get softer stools. Don't worry about it. If in the beginning of carnivore you might have some loose stools, you might have some cravings, you might have any uneasiness, it's just a transitional phase like anything in life. So you'll be eating fatty meat until satisfied, instinctive quantity of muscle, instinctive quantity of fat. You will be adding butter to leaner meats like poultry. Any meat is fine, but if you want to go for the most ideal, for example, you want to buy in bulk, buy ruminant meats. This includes beef, this includes lamb, this includes deer, what? Deer, not beer, deer. This includes goat, bison, elk, etc. These are the best meats, but make sure, and I forgot to add here, fresh fatty meat. Why? Because you might not be at a perfect health, and meat, especially more aged meats, have a higher histamine content, and your body will need to produce an enzyme to break down that histamine, which is very healthy to consume. But your body might not have enough mechanisms to break down the much higher histamine contents that you will be consuming on carnivore. That's why, at least for the beginning months, I recommend by far the vast majority of you eat is fresh, so that you get perfect transition into carnivore. I did the mistake of consuming a lot of aged meats in the beginning and my heart was pounding. So have a better experience than I and many others have. So why is it ideal to consume ruminants? Ruminants have a very interesting characteristics because they have a rumen, they have a very special compartment in their 4-compartment stomachs that breaks down very well whatever they eat. So even if they are grain fed, their tissues is more pure as compared with pork and with chicken, which are not so perfect in terms of purity, because unless they are eating a species appropriate diet, their fatty acid profile will worsen. Anything that they might be supplemented with, anything around corn and soy, genetically modified organisms that are put in their feed, and antibiotics will go to their flesh. So eat once in a while and don't abuse it. If what you can only afford is pork, eat pork. Is far better than plants. But if you can add more meats, for example, some parts of the chuck are very cheap and they're great as steaks. Some around the chest of the cow is perfect and is very fatty. What about eggs and dairy? First of all, cheese is a condiment, is not a food. Eggs can be a food. You can eat like 12 eggs a day, no problem. But make sure they're pasture raised, because like myself, you might be intolerant to eggs because you ate unpastured eggs in the past, and that damaged your body, and your body learned not to allow that substance to be absorbed. That's why you should run an IgG blood test, a food sensitivity test, to know what are you tolerant or intolerant to, what are you sensitive when it comes to food. If you just fatty ruminant meats, you will be for sure completely okay. The people with the higher sensitivities can go fresh ruminant meat and they are perfectly fine. But as you are healing, you might be able to add the pork, the chicken once in a while, not abusing. But the eggs, yeah, you might have to wait like a year to introduce them once all antibodies are dead. And dairy, there are very different types of dairy. Raw dairy versus fermented dairy versus pasteurized dairy. There are a lot of people who have problems with cheeses and with milk, and they have zero problem with butter. That's why I'm comfortable recommending you to add butter to lean meats. What about milk and kefir? Avoid those at all costs, because they will disable fat burning, they will disable ketosis, they will put you in carb burning, they will turn on your cravings, they will just mess you up. The same way you need, and this is an absolute necessity, to consume at least 10% by volume in meat, in fat of your meat or in butter to be in keto, you need to avoid this in order not to get out of keto. Secondly, drink water. You see, along with fat and protein, water is one of the 3 macronutrients that we need every single day. There are vitamins that are only absorbed once we consume fat and others once we drink water. If you consume enough muscle meat every single day, you'll get your protein daily requirement. If you consume enough meat, fat or butter, you'll get your daily fat requirement. And to know how much water you should be drinking, just follow your thirst. Everything around diet should be instinctive. For as long as you're doing carnivore, you can trust your body to decide the amounts and timings. There is a caveat here. I suggest that you only drink after meals. Why? There is acidity in our stomach. This acidity allows us to break down the fat and the protein we consume. And thus, while you're eating, it's ideal that you've not drunk water for like half an hour at least, so that the acidity is very high to break down very well whatever you just ate. And just after you eat your meal, just clean the dishes or whatever and arrange the table, and afterwards go drink your water, so that you give enough time for that acidity to break down most of the hardest tissues around fat and protein, but allow your body still to get enough water to absorb the water-soluble vitamins. Thirdly, salt. Salt is a micronutrient, meaning if you need this amount of water and this amount of fat and this amount of muscle meat every single day, you need this amount of sodium every single day. And you don't need salt, you need sodium. And you would get enough sodium if you ate nose to tail and drank the blood, which I imagine lions do. But since you're probably not even consuming organs and you're just doing steaks, just like myself and many other carnivores out there, you should add a little bit or a lot of salt to compensate. And each body is at a different stage of healing, so you might crave more or less. So do it to taste. Allow your body to decide instinctively how much it needs of everything, of muscle meat, of fat, of water, of salt. You're worried you're getting too much salt, you'll get an headache. Sometimes it's still tasting good to have that salt, and then you start feeling some heaviness, and you'll know to stop. And as a final step, this is what is going to become part of your past. Your new reality will just be these 3 steps. This one is just for now. You'll be tapering down your consumption of all plants, all of them. This includes herbs, even medicinal ones. This includes seasonings, this includes sauces and pepper and garlic and onion. This includes drinks, all these sodas, even coffee and tea. You should taper them down for the course of 2 to 4 weeks of starting carnivore. Don't just cut them off, because you'll get too big cravings and it's not healthy. But if you taper them down over the course of 2 to 4 weeks, your body will adjust gradually, which will be far easier on your emotional health, as well as your mental ability to be clear in your thoughts, as well as your body's ability to be physically getting adapted to carnivore. And that's it. These are the only steps that you need to apply in order to become a carnivore. And so my conclusion of today is that if you eat plants, you feel uneasy because they are herbivores' food. Are we not herbivores? No. If you eat meat, you'll feel amazing. Just try it out for a month. The first 3 weeks might be to put in the trash because it's a transitional phase. But once you're doing carnivore's food, meat and fatty meat especially, which you will need to feel amazing because you need to be on keto, not to feel sugar cravings, you'll feel the best you've ever felt in all of your life. We are facultative carnivores. We can eat some fruits. And fruits are not plants. They are the product of plants. And they might include some berries, some actual true nuts. But today's fruits are not fruits anymore. They're just sugar bombs. They're just candy disguised in nature. And so the best thing is just to forget them. You don't need them to thrive, actually. You can thrive and will thrive on just this, and consuming plants will probably create uneasiness in your emotions. So I recommend against. We have some adaptability that we gain through the years of consuming plants, but even though you might not get a tummy ache, you'll certainly suffer emotionally in your day-to-day from consuming those. You see, bipolar is plant-derived. The lack of focus, called ADD or ADHD, is plant-derived. OCD, compulsive disorders, obsessions, are plant-derived. Schizophrenia, all this imagination is plant-derived. So if you cut this out, you'll just be what you've always wished to be. The person you've always strived and challenge yourself to become will become automatically just by doing these 3 steps and leaving this in your past. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, it helps me so much. You know somebody who can benefit from this, somebody who's maybe depressed. Here is a solution. Some people will stop depression after 3, even 2 weeks of just doing this. All symptoms can go into remission because you're removing the cause. Send those people the link and try yourself. This is the future of health for the people who wish to feel the best. It's up to you to decide what is your priority. Is drinking Coke and enjoying some onions and eating some whatever cabbages and feeling not so great and unsatisfied and frustrated all your life? Or you are willing to sacrifice those little pleasures or dependencies, shall we call them, to feel the best you've always felt? These are herbivores superfoods, but they are not carnivore superfoods, and we are facultative carnivores. If you wish to see videos just like this, check my channel and subscribe to see the ones that will be coming out every single day. Thanks.